We're good to go. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Savannah Carabin. I'm the Business and Operations and Marketing Coordinator for the City of Bluefield and the Bluefield, West Virginia Economic Development Authority. I'm a relatively new face. I started at the department about a month or so ago. I work directly with Jim Spencer, and this is the first. Oops, someone else is joining. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining. This is the first of our many office hours. We are so elated to have the MBAs Fighting COVID team with us today. They're from all over. So we're just going to cover a few housekeeping notes, and then I will turn it over to the team. So for starters, please keep your video off, keep your microphone muted. Please submit all your questions in the chat box, and we will answer those at the end of the session, and I will be moderating the chat. So if you have any issues, can't hear somebody, just put that in the chat box. The session will be recorded and sent to you after it's complete. And if you are viewing this session as a recording, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at that email. And without further ado, Frank, I'm going to turn it over to you and your team.
Sounds great. Thanks everybody for being with us today. First, I'm going to let Scott from MBAs Fight COVID-19 maybe give a little introduction to himself and the program. So yes, Scott, you want to kick us off here?
Great, thanks. I'll be brief. So MBAs Fight COVID is the group of all the volunteers here are from the MBAs Fight COVID initiative. What we are is we're a group of about 1,000 business school students from across the country from 20 different MBA programs, including West Virginia and Marshall. And what we're doing is we're just providing pro bono support to small businesses in need, largely around helping businesses fill out grant applications or fill out PPP forgiveness applications. But more than that, also things like this, which Frank and his team here have put together. So with that, I'll just pass it back over to Frank and thank them all for their effort here.
Thank you, Scott. So maybe we'll just all take a quick moment to introduce ourselves. So yeah, my name is Frank Avino. I'm an MBA student at Carnegie Mellon. So before Carnegie Mellon, I was at PepsiCo for 4 years in IT operations. So basically it was all about creating and maintaining software. So, and with digital marketing, right, so much of it is based on, using software and, understanding, what goes, not only what goes into using these tools and these methods, but also how to make them relevant for you and your business and your customers. So really happy to be here with all of you. Maybe we'll kind of just go down the lines. Maybe Ellen, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ellen. I am also a rising second-year MBA student at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. Before MBA, I actually worked as a media and creative strategist at advertising agency for serving Fortune 500 companies. That's basically a fancy way of saying my job was essentially understanding customer psychology, behaviors, and trying to come up with best ways for businesses to tell the stories through a different marketing channel. So really excited to be here.
Neha?
Hey everyone, thanks so much for having us and giving me this opportunity. I'm a second-year student at the Booth School of Business, and I work full-time at Ford Motor Company also. So I'm a weekend MBA student, and I had very little experience with marketing before my MBA experience. So right now, through academics as well as lab classes, I'm trying to learn as much as possible. Traditionally, all of my professional experiences have been in consulting and technology. And I really do love marketing a lot because I feel like that's where businesses really come alive at that touch point between customers and the enterprise. I also did a lab class recently about 6 months ago where we helped a B2B company kind of redo their marketing strategy from a customer-centric standpoint, as well as by leveraging some of the newer ideologies in marketing, such as inbound marketing. So really glad to be here. Thanks.
Hey everyone, my name's Niall Osmani. I'm a second year at Tepper and at Carnegie Mellon. And before Carnegie Mellon, I used to work at a very data-driven digital marketing agency in Austin, Texas. I managed about $3 million in ad spend every year for about 3 years, and got a lot of experience not only with Google and Google Ads, but also Facebook, YouTube, Google Display Network, and Google Shopping. So eager to be here and really happy that so many people are attending. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for letting us join you tonight. My name's Chris Wendt, and if you're watching this recording, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Previous to my time at Carnegie Mellon, I'm also an MBA there. I spent the last approximately 3 years working as a digital marketing specialist and an SEO content marketer, and I've actually helped a number of small to medium-sized local businesses actually outcompete a lot of much larger businesses through search marketing, content marketing, and website optimization. So incredibly excited that you're all taking the time to be here, and incredibly excited to lend whatever hand that we can to get you started and move your campaigns and move your small and medium-sized businesses forward. Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna start off with our agenda. Now I know this was a little scary, but I'll help you walk through this. So today we are going to introduce you 8 digital marketing channels, which you see on the far left, and a checklist to make sure that you can set up correctly, which is what we call the digital hygiene. So when you have these 8 channels, how do you know which one to choose? And that's where really the rest of the table comes in. In the columns, you'll see some of the goals that you may have for your business. Maybe you want more people to know about your business. Maybe you want to make sure that you're still connected to your customers, even though they can't physically visit your store. Maybe you want to drive more sales, or you want to make sure that the customers are being loyal and they continue to come back to you when you are getting ready for reopening. So in the columns, you will see some of the check marks, and that shows like what these digital marketing channels are the best for. So at the end of this webinar, you can choose which one that you want to move forward with based on your priorities. And lastly, this deck will be shared after the class and includes a detailed how-tos and personally recommended resources to help you get this done. So let's get started. So if you can go to the next slide. So we're going to start off with social media. There are a lot of social media platforms out there, but this checklist actually works for every platform. Whenever you're setting up social media profiles, you want to remember 3 things: good photos, good information, and a little bit of personality. So high quality photos are like your outfits. We talk about dressing to impress, and same concept applies here. You're trying to impress people about your business, and high quality photos and professional logos are the best way to begin that impression. So for good information, you want to deliver 2 things. First of all, it's consistency. So for example, it's always the best practice to have the same username across the platforms. People are already struggling to remember each other's phone numbers these days. Asking them to remember different usernames for your businesses might be a little bit much of an ask. And if we go to the next slide, and then the second thing about good information is comprehensiveness. Make sure that you have all the information that I can get about your business in social media profiles. It's like going to a mega store like Walmart. Isn't it great when you can buy everything without having to go to another store? With complete profiles, you're basically doing people a similar favor, because now people don't have to go to Google or Yelp to find out about hours of what you're selling, what the business is about. And lastly, the personality. What I have here are only suggestions and best practices. Social media is one of the best places to tell stories about your businesses. And if you want to have some fun and show a little bit of a quirky side of your business, I would say go for it. It doesn't always have to be as professional as we make it sound it to be. So this is what I have for social media, and we'll move on to Yelp.
All right, everybody, let's talk about Yelp. Many of us have used it when it comes to, finding great restaurants or other great services. I lived in New York for a couple years, and so this was like the only way I could find out, what was, where was the great food. But thinking about it from a business standpoint, right? It's really important not only to be on Yelp and not only claim and describe your business, but also telling the story of how customers can interact with you today. A lot of businesses are having like a COVID-19 update on the front of their page that basically says, how are we interacting with you? Are we Are we doing delivery? Are we doing, pickup? Are we offering any extra services, or have eliminated any extra, or eliminated any parts of our business right now? How are we going above and beyond to serve you as a business? These are the kinds of things that you want to highlight on those, on the front page of your Yelp profile. Also, being proactive to get lots of reviews and lots of, hopefully great reviews. Asking customers to write reviews, post photos, and ask questions. Doing that through the various, through a variety of channels, and we can talk about which ones. Considering that, especially when customers interact with you, ask them to write a review is really going to help you generate buzz on Yelp. Also responding to reviews, of course, in a professional manner. Thanking people for sharing their honest thoughts, and answering questions too, because people will ask questions of you on Yelp. So you can answer those and show that you're responsive and show that you're engaged with your customers on Yelp. Considering ordering or offering online ordering, online appointment booking. That's also available on Yelp. It's built in. You can set up a menu of sorts, or and use some of the resources that we've got in the appendix here to ensure that you can provide a variety of ways to for customers to interact with you and order from your services, if that's applicable to you. Moving from Yelp to Google Maps, of course, that's another great way to, as we all know, to find great businesses. And a lot of consumers are reviewing not only on Yelp but on Google Maps. So it's important that if you don't already have a Google My Business profile, claim your business on Google My Business, and listing all your locations and detail your amenities. This is important because if you have 3 stores, let's say, you want to make sure that all of them are listed under the same account, and maybe one isn't listed astray or isn't really claimed. You want it to be clear how your customers can interact with you, not only from a location standpoint but also from an amenities. If you offer great coffee, which if you offer coffee, you'd probably say it's great coffee. You'd want to highlight that. You'd want to emphasize you're accessible. Emphasizing how are you interacting with business with customers during COVID-19. That's it's definitely important to think about what are the services you want to highlight, and how are you going to highlight them through Google Maps. And it's important to highlight those. That's critical. In terms of other things, asking your customers to write a review, post photos, ask questions. Posting great photos on here. Although business or consumers will post photos of you, or not of you, but of your business on Google Maps. So that's important. Following the same principles of responding professionally, but also being responsive and welcoming customers to give you feedback. And also considering online ordering, online appointments through Google My Business. There's blogs that we'll share with you that are ways to do that. But it all comes back to you want to have a positive and engaging consumer preference. These are 2 great tools that can get you started and help you in that direction. Let's move now to SEO. I think, is this CJ?
Yep, and thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you.
So for SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. You might also hear it referred to as search marketing. The theme for tonight is digital marketing, and as you've probably already begun to understand, a lot of digital marketing comes down to thinking how your customers want to find your business, or thinking about what sort of information they might be looking for when they look at your business. SEO is one of the most distilled versions of this. You're trying to think in advance how your customers are going to try and find your business, and you're trying to make your website so that it speaks to that. So we're dividing this into off-site, which is stuff you do outside of your website, on-site, stuff you do on your website, and then a few additional tips for you. The first thing, I've provided a link here. You can do a site speed index. This really matters to Google, and it'll give you a few quick pointers on how to increase your site speed. A lot of the time, it's as simple as just cutting down the size of your images or making your videos hosted off of your page. You'll also perform some keyword research data using, using Google Ads data, which we also provided a link for in the appendix. And again, that's thinking, what sort of keywords do you want your customers to look for? If you're a bar, you'll probably want to be have your customers looking for best bars in my area, local bars, maybe a local tap house. You'll identify some top keywords. Again, using the example of a bar, probably a bar will be your top keyword, or at least one of them. And then you're also going to want to optimize your Google My Business with some of the details that we've also gone into in this presentation. If we go to the next slide, we'll go to some on-site stuff. So the picture here actually provides not a great example of a website for SEO. And it shows just how easy it is for you to really make your business stand out with good SEO, because a lot of businesses are opting for a pretty good looking website as opposed to a pretty and good looking website that is also optimized for search. So you want to make sure that your site is responsive to mobile devices. A lot of site builders actually already build this in. If you have any questions about that, just pull up your own website on your mobile phone and you'll see if it's mobile responsive or not. And if it's not, a lot of the time these websites offer really quick, really easy tutorials to show how to do this. A lot of CMSs, content management systems, have an SEO tool. If you're built on WordPress, this is going to be Yoast. For other CMSs, it might be something different. With your keyword research that you've already done, you're going to want to make sure that that's in your page. If you have a page specific for your menu, again, using the reference of a bar, say that it's, your local bar menu as a page title. You're going to want to have your keyword in the meta descriptions, which are, again, you'll find those through your SEO tool on your local or on your content management system for your local site. In the actual content on your page, you're going to want to have your keyword, and especially for you local businesses, your location, so city, state. In the H1 and H2, those are basically the big bold titles on your page. And you're also going to want to include that keyword 3 to 5 times organically in the page. Organically just means put it in there like you would have it in a sentence, like you were speaking to a friend. All right, Frank, if we can go to the next slide. All right, so a few additional things. Prioritize getting authentic reviews through Google. Do not, and I repeat, do not use any tools that say they can get your reviews quickly, because you will be penalized. Google is very good about doing that. Make sure that your address and information, again, as it's been mentioned before, matches on every single listing. And in general, you're going to want to make sure you have at least approximately 300 words of content on every page. This goes back to making sure your site is functional as well as beautiful. You can have a good looking site that has content on the page, and that also makes it look less spammy if you have your keywords sprinkled throughout those additional words. And then I think next is going to be paid search with Niall.
Hey, thanks, CJ. And CJ provided a really good overview there of SEO, search engine optimization. Paid search is very closely related. Now, paid search is the largest moneymaker in all of digital marketing, bar none. And it's really important to have some paid search presence as far as if you're planning to invest your dollars on your marketing. So an example of what a paid search ad is on the right. You can kind of see there that sponsored ad at the top. That's paid search. This is how Google makes almost all of their money. And the reason why it's such a powerful tool is it's a unique example of pull marketing. So what I mean by that is typically before in the old days, you'd spend your money on a newspaper ad or a television ad. And what a newspaper and television ad is their push marketing. You're pushing out a message and everyone is seeing it. And so a lot of that money you spend ends up reaching people who aren't invested in your product. But in the pull marketing of paid search, what happens is I put that ad up there at the top and I don't pay a dime until a customer clicks on it. And for them to even see that ad, they have to type something into the search bar. For example, gardening products. So immediately, I know that ad, it's showing up for somebody who showed an intention, right? They looked up gardening products, so they're looking to buy gardening products. And I don't even pay for their impression. I don't pay for their eyeballs until they actually click on the ad and get diverted to my website. And that's why people love paid search. It's an extremely efficient channel. So let's go through the tools or the steps of having an effective paid search strategy. So first of all, you need to set up conversion tracking on your website. And that's a hyperlink in the slide deck. I think we'll be making that slide deck available for you. So you'll be able to click it and see where that leads. But essentially, conversion tracking is setting up some system on your website so that when somebody checks out and they see the thank you for purchasing page, Google understands that a purchase was made. And they understand how much that purchase was made for. So it's a way of connecting the data from your website to Google's own algorithm so that they can start to track your conversions and run a campaign on your behalf. The next thing you're going to do on Google Ads is set up a smart campaign. And if you only have 15 minutes to dedicate to your paid search strategy, this is where I would like you to really pay attention. Smart campaigns, by Google's own measure, take about 15 minutes to set up. And when you set up a smart campaign, all you have to do is set it up, say what your goal is with the campaign, and put in a single ad, one single ad, and set a budget. You do those 4 things, and it should take you only 15 minutes, and you've got a paid search strategy. It'll happen on its own, and Google will use all of its machine learning, its algorithms, and its knowledge to try and maintain that campaign, keep it running, keep it going, and keep getting you more and more money more efficiently for your budget. So if you can take anything away, set up your conversion tracking, set up your smart campaign, and we can be done. But I'll go over some of the more advanced aspects over here. So the other things you can do, if you wanted to create like a non-smart campaign, you want to have brand campaigns and non-brand campaigns. So what I mean by that is Home Depot, any campaign that contains keywords with Home Depot in them or Homes Depot or any misspellings of Home Depot, that's a brand campaign. Brand campaigns, they're opportunities for you to get all of that consumer interaction for people who are expressly searching for your brand. And so it's like free money if you set those up. A non-brand campaign would be if Home Depot set up a campaign for gardening tools, right? Home Depot setting up gardening tools, it's more of a campaign type where they're competing with others to try and get that traffic. Now, as a reminder, if you set up a smart campaign, you don't have to worry about this complexity. The other thing, similar to what CJ said, you want to set up target keywords in ad groups. Again, if you're setting up a smart campaign, you don't need to worry about this step. You want to add negative keywords to campaigns. So if we go with CJ's example of you have a bar and you have set up a bar, a negative keyword would be monkey bars, right? Because anybody searching monkey bars isn't looking for you, and you don't want your ad to show up when they search up monkey bars. So you want to set up negative keywords to cut away unwanted traffic. And then finally, as a best practice, add 3 to 5 ads per ad group with a call to action in your ad. Make it say something powerful like, get your gardening tools today. Again, if you're setting up a smart campaign, you only need 1 ad, not 3 to 5. So long story short, set up a smart campaign. Don't worry about the rest of the slide. Let's move on to the next slide. For more advanced things, be cognizant of making sure your brand keywords are in average position 1. So, I mentioned for Home Depot is a brand keyword. What we mean by average position is where on the screen when someone searches up Home Depot does the ad show up. Position 1 means it's all the way at the top. So for any of your brand keywords, you want them to be at the very tippy top of the screen. That way you can get all of the traffic. You want to set up ad extensions, and ad extensions are critical. So ad extensions are add-ons that make your ads more robust. So you ever notice that when you search, for example, Chick-fil-A, that it shows you the closest Chick-fil-A's, it shows you reviews for Chick-fil-A, and it shows you maybe like their phone number. Those are all ad extensions. They are deviations from your normal ad to give you more ways to engage with the customer. So on the right, an ad extension is what makes pots and planters, raised beds, tomato cages, and gardening tools show up. And as a consumer, when I look up gardening supply company and I see this ad, if I want pots and planters, I just need to click on that one link and it'll send me to the right part of the website. So make sure you take some time, set up your ad extensions. A site link extension is an example of an ad extension. Finally, set up your day parting, which allows you to set your ad, it allows you to affect how likely your ad is going to show up, depending on if it's 3 p.m. versus 5 a.m. Obviously, I don't want my ad to show up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. I want my ad to show up at 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. So day parting is a great way to control that. If you're a very local business, set up geo-targeting. So what geo-targeting says is it says, hey, in this zip code, I want my ad to show up. But in other zip codes, I don't want my ad to show up. If you're a restaurant, you probably want geo-targeting set up so that you're making sure your ads show up to the people who live closest to your restaurant rather than showing up for somebody who's living in Vermont when your restaurant is in West Virginia. Set up device bid adjustments. So this is a good way, for example, to make sure that you're not spending the same on mobile that you are on desktop. By nature, people who search for ads on mobile are way less likely to buy things than they are on your desktop. And Google makes sure to give you a way to make it so that if I'm willing to spend $1 on a user on desktop, I might only be willing to spend 30 cents on that same user if they're searching from their mobile phone. So make sure you set up device bid adjustments so you're efficient. And finally, set up audience targeting. You have all these wonderful people shopping from you on digital. The main advantage of digital is you can make sure that you show up in front of those same people again and again. With audience targeting, you can make sure that your ads are showing up to the exact match of the types of customer you know that you have. We can move on to the next slide. So again, when you set up smart campaigns, you don't have to worry about anything in the last 2 slides. And I would urge you to set those up immediately. Finally, let's talk about Google Shopping. Google Shopping ads generate 18% more revenue per click than the text ads I showed you before. Google Shopping is the new biggest, bestest thing Google has done. You absolutely want a Google Shopping presence. So to get Google Shopping working, you have to get a Google Merchant Center account set up. And rather than setting up individual ads, what you do in Google Shopping is you fill out a product feed. What a product feed is it's like, here's all my SKUs, here's a title for all of them, here's a description for all of them. If it's clothes, here's the sizes, here's the colors, and here's like a image for each one. You provide all of this to Google every single day, and they automatically make ads for you. It's kind of amazing. So just make sure that you spend the time to set up a smart campaign in the search side, and under Google Shopping that you upload an accurate product feed to the Google Merchant Center and keep that updated every single day. And soon enough, you'll have a thriving paid search strategy and a thriving Google Shopping strategy. We can move on.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I'm doing this over my phone, so the bad audio and image quality, it's thanks to my laptop's technical issues. But thanks so much for everything that you guys have laid out. And one of the best things about the website, according to me, is ultimately, in my opinion, it's what brings everything together. So once the SEO is set up right, the ads are set up right, your social media posts are on point. Ultimately, a lot of people look to check out the website just to see if they can get a feel for the brand, see what the company is about. So I feel like it's a great way to bring all of your other activities together, is to make sure that your website is actually speaking to the company that you are. So starting with things like making sure that the name of your website, the URL, is accurate and it matches what's on your other profiles, the name of your business. And once you've done that, there's plenty of tools out there which help you stand up a website with excellent templates, with good SEO design practices. So leverage one of those if you're setting up a website for the first time, and if you're tweaking an existing website, it's a great investment to spend some time behind making sure that you have the name and the content laid out all right. It really does speak to the brand that you're trying to represent. And again, in my opinion, it's one of the final stops that I make before I decide to purchase, especially if I'm thinking about local, services such as salons or restaurants. I typically look at the website to see if it looks, professional, efficient, or if it looks sketchy in any way. It's where I make a lot of judgments about the business itself. The other thing that I find really important when I look at websites is the content. So all of the content that you do towards making sure the SEO engines work right, which is making sure there's a good chunk of text, you're using all of those keywords that you want your business to be associated with. All of that's really important, but then there's also the content that the users end up looking for on your site. So for example, it could be a menu of all the services that you provide, the prices, all the products that you might be looking to sell. So having all of this information available and in an aesthetically pleasing fashion is often what I use to decide if I want to go with, salon A versus salon B. So that's really important as well. And another way in which the website brings everything kind of together is to make sure that is by making sure that you have your social media handles all linked to your site and vice versa. So when I'm on a website, I want to look at pictures or what comments people have left on the pictures. It typically happens on your social media, and I don't want to have to go into my Instagram to look for your business again. It makes it that much easier if there's a link over there with the Instagram handle, and just click, and now I have a more of a complete picture. So that's, I think, the ways in which I end up using websites most often is to make sure I get a feel for the website, the brand, the business, get a good idea of what all the services and the products are that you sell, as well as what are people saying about you. So making sure that the website hits all of these buckets is really important. And there's hyperlinks over there to more resources that help you actually set up the website and get it up and running. But in general, just getting behind the idea of what is a customer looking for on the website will really help guide what you need to add on there. We can move on to the next one.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Neha. All right, final thing for right now is email marketing. So with email marketing, a few things that you really want to avoid. You want to end up avoiding the spam box. You want to end up avoiding the trash bin. And you want to end up avoiding just being that unread email that just sits there as a notification on someone's phone or someone's desktop for weeks until you end up in the trash bin. You're going to put all this effort into your email campaigns, and just imagine it like a flyer that you hand someone on the street. You don't want them to just crumple it up and throw it away. So you want to know your audience. You want to know who, what, when, and why. Who are you trying to contact? Are they 20? Are they 50? Are they single moms, or are they, your traditional nuclear family? Are they local? You get the idea. You want to focus on your quality over your quantity. No one likes having their inbox flooded with a million emails. I'm sure we've all been there before, and we can say, you don't want to be that business that's just like, hey, we're not even doing anything really new. We just want to, poke you and prod you and say, remember us. Try and use your emails effectively and strategically. Think about if you're, and again, I'm going to use the reference of a bar. If you're switching over a tap to a beer that your customers have been asking you for weeks, that's something that is definitely relevant for an email. If you're releasing something new on your menu or you've redesigned your menu, definitely tell about that. Review and reward engagement from your people who are on your mailing list. A lot of the most common email marketing sites and tools are going to let you see who opens your emails and how frequently. A really great way to take advantage of this is going to be putting in, hey, we see that you're really engaged, have a coupon, have a deal. Let them know, give them some sort of preferential treatment. Build and curate your own mailing list. Do not, and I repeat again, do not buy a mailing list. Especially for SMBs, a lot of the time your clients are going to be local, your clients are going to be nearby, and you don't just want to send out a blast if you're in West Virginia to someone all the way over in Vermont, because they're not going to open that. They're not going to come in. Make sure that you're building your mailing list from people who come to your website, people who come into your building or business. Also segment your mailing list and personalize it. Again, going back to the who, what, when, where, and why, segment it according to what you think is going to be most effective. You can do that based on age, location, or some other demographic. Also write attractive, sticky subject lines. Which is more interesting to you? Hey, here's your regular weekly email. Hey, we've got an exciting new beer that we think would be perfect for you. Think about it yourself and think about which one you would rather see in your inbox. You want your email design to be on brand as well, just like Neha spoke about with your website, and just like it was spoken about in the social media section. You've done so much work cultivating your brand and cultivating your brand identity, and that should also be carried over to your emails. Also, all of those copywriting skills that go into your website and your social media and all of your other postings, this is a perfect place to take all of that work and all of that practice and really distill it into a really perfect email that at the end of it says, hey, thank you for taking the time to read this. Do this action, please, whether it's following you on social media, whether it's coming to check out the new item on your menu, or whether it's coming to check out that new beer that you have on tap. Finally, avoid the spam box by avoiding do not reply emails. Just like any conversation, and we're going to get to the questions in just a moment, it should be a two-way street. Do not reply emails not only send signals to a lot of email filtering programs, but also to your clients that you don't want to hear back from them. So try to use an actual email where someone can get a hold of you. It'll help you, it'll help them, and who knows, it might also foster a valuable lead or someone who can be a new advocate for your business.
All right. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, everyone, for all your thoughts here. So now we'd love to hear from you in the audience. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And Savannah, are there any questions that are currently in the chat?
We do. Megan asked, this is for Chris or anyone, what email marketing platform do you recommend? She's not found any that have been too successful for her so far.
Yeah, so I can take the first part of this answer, and then I'll let anyone else on the panel jump in with their response from what they've seen success with. Personally, I've always had really good luck using MailChimp. It's a really simple, really straightforward interface. They give you really good metrics to measure your success and how your campaigns are doing. And scrubbing your mailing list is really easy on there. That's what I would recommend.
Great, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll second MailChimp. I run like a mailing list for one of our school's clubs, and it's made like the basics really easy. So yeah, it's a great tool.
If I'm not mistaken, hasn't Canva just offered a MailChimp integration, or they're working on it? Did you guys see that?
I wouldn't be surprised. That sounds like a cool feature. That sounds like a cool feature.
It's already really easy. Could you imagine doing a Canva integration?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Awesome. Well, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Megan says, thank you for the recommendation. Wonderful. You guys covered a whole lot.
Well,
that was very
while we're waiting for a potential question, I thought maybe we could, oh, there's one more. Never mind. All right, while we're waiting for that, I thought maybe we could each go over what the biggest mistake is when people do something in the channel that we were responsible for. I think that's a question probably a lot of people might have, and I think it might be helpful.
Yeah, great idea. Let's do it.
I think Ellen,
Yeah.
maybe you can start.
Yeah, so with social media, I think the biggest mistake a lot of clients have made was that because it's really easy to set up, like all you have to do is literally just sign up for an account, they try to do too many at once. And it ends up being that you become like jack of all trades and master of none. So I would really start thinking about, what channels that you want to use. Having many channels doesn't mean you will always do well. Like it's totally fine for you to just have like Facebook or just Instagram or just Twitter or just Snapchat or TikTok if that's your thing. So just be very judicious about your effort. Your time is very precious. So don't feel like you have to do every single channel on social media.
I couldn't agree more. And I would love to see some more breakout marketing on TikTok. I think that's really cool how people are using such a candid platform to promote their business. So let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Megan says we do a lot of work for the government and contractors who have super strict filters on email and blocking them due to a virus because of their firewalls and classified information. So she was curious if anyone had any experience with strict firewalls blocking emails.
So I can take on this a little bit. So I didn't have personally worked with the email marketing for the government, but I have had a lot of situations where corporations also have very strict filtering, and because of phishing, scam, and all of the things. So I think that's where there are two ways you can go about it. Like, one is that there has to be they ask your clients if they would be willing to put you on some type of a whitelist. I think that's one way of doing it. The other way that I would say is that if you can have an email sign up on the website, because that is something that they have signed up for it, instead of just you using your business email database, that should hopefully reduce the chance of it bouncing back or going to spam. So those are the two recommendations that I would have. Unfortunately, because it is something that's a cybersecurity, there's not really a good way around it other than trusting that your customers will be willing to receive your emails and designate that in their email system, unless anybody else has a good workaround. Uncle Sam.
One thing you can do is, normally emails are a loyalty play, right? Like, you have a customer, they've come to your website, they've bought something or they've tried something, and you want to keep them updated on what's going on. So in that way, you can be proactive, and on the website, when you're soliciting people's emails, you can kind of like imply, if you know that your customers tend to be government agencies, like, feel free to sign up with a personal email address. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of signal it in the language. What do you think about that strategy, Ellen, since you're more the expert?
Yeah, no, I think that's also another good way to do it. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult because we're asking the users to do something else extra. But yes, that would be the best way on our end, as far as on the business's end.
If you don't mind, I'll jump in with a quick point as well. So the firewall could be grabbing it for a couple of different reasons. It could just be a blanket treatment for all emails unless they're approved, kind of like what Ellen said. In that case, you definitely want to go through the process of whatever needs to happen to be whitelisted by them. Also, there are multiple tools online, if you do a quick Google search, that can do a quick spam rating on your email, which is basically how likely it is to be rated as spam. Megan, not to say that I think your business's emails will be rated as spam, but that could be an additional reason outside of not being whitelisted why they might be picked up by that particular firewall. So even if it is what Ellen suggested and you just need to be on the whitelist, doing that simple check on your side could be something to look into before you reach out and have that conversation with those government entities and contractors about getting on the whitelist. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Was somebody else gonna share something?
Oh, well, Scott shared what he's heard from talking to business owners is that they struggle with where to start their digital marketing. So where would one start? What questions should they ask themselves to get started, or what channels should they focus on first?
I'm happy to take a very brief stab at it. Me not being nearly as much as an expert as the other folks here, but I feel like and this kind of ties into the question that Niall asked about, biggest weaknesses. I feel like one of the, from a software development standpoint, I feel like one of the biggest mistakes people make is starting with the technology instead of starting with the customer. I think starting with what are the human needs you're trying to solve with your business, what do you want to say about your business through your marketing? I feel like you have to start from there and then think about, how am I going to go, and use different tools to tell that story. I feel like it all has to come from there. and then learning, and being open to change. If you try one of these tools and it doesn't work out for you, seeking to learn why it didn't really work out, and kind of going through the next phase in the cycle, trying something new, trying something different. I feel like those are the two things to me that, from learning from software, I feel like really apply here. Love to hear others' thoughts.
Frank, do you mind flipping to the slide with the the 4 stages? And CJ, you can continue, but I think that would be helpful to see right now.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So I was going to jump in.
Chart.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and definitely second Frank's focus on your customers. In my abundantly non-existent free time as an MBA, I'm also working on developing my own game, a card game. And for that card game, eventually I am going to create a website. Eventually I am going to create a YouTube channel. But before I even started looking about publicizing it at all, I looked at where are consumers finding out about games, and where are influencers, which for this particular type of product are really important, where are they talking about and learning about games. A lot of this data is publicly available, and for your specific industry or business, you can find customer profiles that say where they typically learn about your sort of business from. For me, it was Instagram, and so that's where I put the majority of my initial efforts for the game. So definitely think about customers, where they're going to be, where they're going to be finding out about your business, and where they're going to be having those conversations.
To build off what CJ said, that is absolutely the first question to ask, for sure. If you're a government agency, or if you're selling to governments, maybe your Yelp strategy isn't that important, right? So I think what's nice about this slide is it shows you what the different high-level goals are. And what we're talking about here is basically what a customer's journey is. First, they got to get to know who you are. Then they got to engage with you consistently, right? That's the green bar. Then they want to buy something from you. That's the yellow bar. And then they want to buy from you again and again and again. And that's the purple bar on the slide. And so depending on what you're targeting, you might go with different channels. What I will say is if you don't have any money to spend, probably organic search should be a high priority. Probably Yelp and social media, depending on who your customer is and where they are, should be a high priority. If you have money to spend, and what you're asking yourself is, how do I have the biggest impact with the least amount of time? Go to paid search and set up a smart campaign. It takes 15 minutes to do, and you'll immediately start getting money from it. And so I would put my energy in the paid search side if you have money to spend and if you're trying to make money. And I would put my focus on Google Shopping as well. The one thing I'll say about paid search is the biggest mistake people make is that they don't put enough money up front. They say they want to spend money, but they only want to spend $10 a week. To make something like paid search really work, you need to spend enough money so that the algorithm that Google is running can actually learn who your customer is and figure out who they should stop showing ads to and who they should prioritize putting ads in front of. So what I would say is if you have money to spend, paid search, set up a smart campaign, 15 minutes, and put in like a couple hundred a week at least to start to get some data.
Thank you for answering that. Did you want to continue talking about those weaknesses? I love that idea that you had about highlighting what not to do, because so many times we say, do this, do this, do this, but we don't say, hey, pause, don't do that. So any more input would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think I'm done on the paid search side. So what I'd say on paid search is what I already said, like people don't spend enough money on the budget. And if they don't spend enough money on the budget, Google can never figure out who your ideal customer is. And so they can never get you the return you're looking for on your ad spend. On Google Shopping, I will say the biggest mistake I think people do is they don't put nice enough pictures of their product. So that's really important. If you have different SKUs, have good pictures of each one. I'll let one of the other teammates.
We could do like a whole class on just taking pictures for.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah. With SEO, and again, if you thank you, Niall, for bringing it up. If you don't have money that you really want to spend right now, SEO is a simple, straightforward, really easy way that you can make your business really stand out to Google and appear in front of more people. The one mistake that I'll say most businesses and most individuals even make when they're doing SEO for any size business is a little thing called, I'm going to whisper it because I hope that none of you ever hear this and none of you ever get punished for this, keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is a page, and I'm going to use the bar reference again because I like bars. Come to your local bar because you want to sit at a bar and you want to drink beer at a bar while having bar food, while talking to your friends at a bar. That is keyword stuffing, my friends. A keyword for SEO purposes, again, remember, about 300 words on a page, only around 1% of those words should be your keyword. So if your keyword is bar, bar only needs to appear 3 to 5 times on your page with 300 words. Don't keyword stuff. Don't be that guy or girl.
Perfect advice.
So just along the same lines, as far as website and website design is concerned, my personal pet peeve is not finding the latest list of products and services or contact information, because that's typically why I end up on the website, is if I want to know really where you're located, how I can reach you on the phone, and to see your latest list of menus. And oftentimes I end up not finding any of these out until I've dug through Google, found some number, given someone a call, and then I realized the website's just not updated. So one of the things is, I guess, having a regular schedule to go ahead and update your website. And again, depending on how easy your content management system is in the back end, it's something you might do or something you might outsource to, someone else that's working with you, but make sure that you do it and keep things up to date. I think that would be my most important thing.
You're absolutely right. There is nothing more frustrating, especially during COVID. I was just in Savannah, Georgia this past weekend, and we wanted to go to find a place to eat. Are they open? Are they serving their full menu? Are they open reduced hours? Are there any changes? Do I need to wear a mask? So it was really frustrating and I'm checking Facebook, I'm checking Instagram, I'm checking their website, and if the information is not on one of those three, I'm out. I'm not coming in and patroning your business because I don't know. I'm not going to walk or Uber somewhere and not have that information. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I love what you guys are saying. Just to add, I had an experience with an ice cream shop recently where we were planning to order for pickup or delivery, I forget which one. And I called them. They said, "Oh no, we don't actually do that. You have to come into the store." And while it's definitely hard for businesses right now, right? With with all the changes that they've needed to make because of the pandemic, it's also important to make sure that we're being upfront with what our customers need to do in order to interact with us, and setting all those expectations up front and keeping those interactive. So I feel like it all comes down to credibility, and working at that to earn that credibility with your customers, and making that a priority. Yeah, so really well said.
Team, do you guys have anything else you would like to add before I get into some quick housekeeping?
If I can add one more final thing, if my colleagues will allow me.
Of course.
For you, but
one final piece of advice, especially from the website, SEO, and even the paid search side. Do yourself a favor and do not look up your own business. It's one of the big mistakes that I've always seen clients make. It's really hard because you want to see if your campaigns and if all your work is taking effect, and realize that all of this stuff takes time. It takes time to build up credibility. It takes time to build up that profile. It takes time to build up that loyalty. Digital marketing, even though we're in this age of accelerated information and accelerated access, it's still does take time, and you will do yourself a giant favor to your self-esteem and to your own sanity by not looking yourself up constantly.
Excellent point. Anyone else? Have
One quick tip on that, also just as an add-on. When you do feel like your campaigns are mature and you have what you have and it's working and you're showing up, if you ever want to see, all of these websites have data on you, right? They all have a Batman file on who you are, and so it's hard to get like a objective view on whether your ad is showing up. Because if you search your name enough times, Google's going to think that you are really interested in your company, and they're going to start showing you your ads, even if they're not showing anybody else your ads. So a quick tip, if you want to see what it's like to enter that algorithm and not have a biased fingerprint, so to speak, open up an incognito window and search whatever you want to search. That's a really good way to test and see, am I showing up, without introducing the bias of your own web traffic activity and the profile Google has on you.
Excellent point.
But I double down on what CJ said. I mean, don't look that stuff up until you feel like you're in a good place.
Right. You guys don't mind, let's move on. Team, if you could stay on the call for just, I promise, a few minutes after everyone else gets off, I'd really appreciate it. Frank, if you could move to those last couple of slides for me. We have some very quick general housekeeping. Some of you know, some of you may not know, Intuit, the maker of QuickBooks and TurboTax, has put a prosperity hub in Bluefield, West Virginia. So this class today, in a roundabout way, is thanks to Intuit. That being said, they have a very short survey that they would ask all of our participants to take, and I just dropped that in the chat. That being said, I work with Jim Spencer, who's also viewing the call. Hi, Jim. And this is not the end of our offerings as far as trainings and class-wise go. We will be having more office hours, and we'll just run through these trainings coming up. Tomorrow, Intuit's hosting a receipt capture in QuickBooks. They also do a online office hours where you can ask their two experts any questions relating to using QuickBooks Online. They are hosting another class called Build Your Online Presence, and they're bringing in a member from Facebook's Small Business Success team to present this class. They have two other classes in July in regards to QuickBooks Online, and then we will be continuing our office hours with a follow-up to this course taught by Jamie Knoll with the Mercer County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and then Dr. Angela Adair from Concord University will be teaching a course on managing employees and interviewing and onboarding employees. So the fun does not stop at this class. This is just the beginning, and I appreciate everyone on the call and everyone who will be viewing this recording. This is our first go at it. So any and all feedback is appreciated. And if there's something that you would like to see us have a webinar on, please feel free to reach out to me. That being said, please be sure to fill out that survey. I will know if you don't fill it out. I will track you down. I will ask you to fill it out. So please don't make me track you down, and just click on the link. Thank you all very much for joining us, and have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Team, you'll just stay on a little